So this is going to be a very hard subject for me to attack today, but I'm going to do it because I had been receiving some questions, and some of my subscribers have been seeking some advice on what to do in this specific situation. So I'm ready to openly discuss it. I've prayed about it to God, and He gave me the go ahead and release my story. So this story is about me being molested when I was 7 by the same sex. I was 7 years old, and I remember not wanting to go home from school on the school bus because I knew once I get home, and put my book bag down, that it was going to happen. It was like clockwork. It happened every day, like clockwork. I remember my mom not being there because she was working all the time. My dad was working. So I would catch the school bus to my grandmother's house where my older cousin would be at with her friends, and it was one of her friends that actually did it. And like every day I would come home and I would like try to come up with excuses as to why I wouldn't let her do it to me. I would come up with excuses. I would say things like, someone's gonna hear us. I would say things like, I'm gonna get in trouble. I don't know, I would just try to come up with stuff so that she wouldn't want to molest me. But obviously, like, she was a sick person. She was sick in her mind. And so it would happen. It would happen every day. I remember this one particular day, I came home from school and I had got the pink eye from school. So I wasn't feeling well. I was feeling ill. And I went in my grandmother's room. I went in my grandmother's room, and she came in a few minutes later. And when she came in, she basically told me to undress. She told me to lay down and undress. Of course I did it. I was only 7 years old. I didn't know any better. So I did it. And I wasn't feeling well, and I even told her that I was not feeling well. And so she still molested me. Every day I would be molested orally by this woman. Sometimes she would stick objects into me. They would hurt, but I would say nothing because being 7 years old, I thought that I would be in trouble for it. I thought that I would get blamed for it. So I kept my mouth closed and I told no one. It was awful. It was awful. Sometimes she would get on top of me. And she was a really big girl, so sometimes it would really hurt. I couldn't breathe because it would feel like she's smothering me because her whole body would cover and swallow my little body. And It was just so awful. I remember the room having a terrible smell. I still told nobody about it. It went on forever. It seems like it went on forever and ever and ever and ever. And then finally, my mom told us that we were moving. We were going to be moving from my grandmother's house, and I was so happy. I was so happy because I knew to move away from that house, that I would no longer be molested by this woman. My cousin never knew what happened. She was always outside with her friends. They were cheering and doing other things, so they were unaware as to what happened to me. I held it in and I kept it secret for years and years and years until I reached an adult. And being with a woman at such a young age, I grew up with thoughts about women. And it's not nothing that I'm proud of, but it's something that I can talk about because I have been delivered from it. It was nothing that was ever my intentions to be. I never wanted to be like that, but having my innocence taken by a female, I feel like it was forced on me. So I do thank God that I've been delivered from that, and I can clearly say that I have been saved from that. And I thank God for saving me from that, because that's not something I want to be a part of. But when I turned about maybe 20, 21, I went ahead and I told my mom about it, and she broke down, she cried, she blamed herself, she felt bad. And basically, I ended up telling 2 more people about it. And the other 2 people who I told were actually close to the person that did it. And somehow I just know that they didn't believe me. And I just it made me feel even worse, because I'm like, are you kidding me? Who's going to make up something like that? Especially with me being 7 years old. I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday, And I just want to tell you guys that for those of you who leave your children with other people, other family members, other relatives, other friends, daycare, question your children. Check them out. Look at their body parts. Make sure that they're not being touched. Because most of the kids that this happens to, they stay silent because they think it's their fault. I definitely thought it was my fault, and that's why I stayed silent for so long about it. But I'm ready to talk about it because I want to raise awareness, and I want other people to be aware of this situation so that they're not in this situation with any of their children, because it's not a good thing. It made me, growing up, crazy. I felt like the black sheep. I felt ugly. I just felt like everything was always my fault. I just felt like everything was my fault. And I know it wasn't my fault, but that's the way I felt. So it feels so good to talk about it to you guys, because I've never went in full details with anyone with how it was done, as far as what she did to me, as far as how the room would smell. It just, oh my God, it was terrible. It was definitely terrible, and it's something that I would never ever want to wish on even my worst enemy, on their child or anything like that. I was contacted maybe 3 years ago by this person. I will link the video to that as well, because I talked about it then, but I didn't go into full details. And basically, she found me on Facebook. I don't know if it was through a mutual person or if it was through like a relative's page, but she found me and had the audacity to send me a friend request. And if you go to that video, when I link it, you'll clearly see I erased her name because I didn't want to, put her name out there. But clearly she had not one care for what she did to me, because I told her that I remember who she was and that I remember her molesting me all the time. And basically all she told me was, since I wasn't gonna, I guess, accept her request, that she wasn't going to lose any sleep. She didn't apologize for molesting me. She didn't give me a reason as to why she did it. She didn't even tell me, well, I was molested, so I thought that was the thing to do. That's why I did it to you. She did none of that stuff. She just told me she would lose no sleep. But because I am a child of the Most High, and I know that He forgives me, and He has forgiven me for everything that I've done, I can forgive her for what she's done. And that's what Christ would want of us. He wants us to be able to forgive those that trespass against us. And I forgive her. I wish she never did it. Yes, I wish she never molested me. I do. But I honestly forgive her. Not only because God says I have to forgive her, but because I wanted a peace of mind. And I didn't want to be crazy anymore. I didn't want to think that things were my fault and I was the black sheep anymore. I didn't want all that extra stress anymore. So I decided to let go, and I let God.